Okay, picture this for a second. You've just built a state-of-the-art system to catch cyber threats. It's cutting edge. But then, you wake up to find that very same system is autonomously generating overwhelming, non-stop attacks against your own security teams. It sounds like a sci-fi nightmare, right? But honestly, it's a terrifying reality, and it perfectly sets the stakes for what we're diving into today. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking the latest OWASP Agentic Security Initiative documentation, and it is an absolute game-changer. Our main goal today is to entirely reframe how we think about identity and access management in this new AI-native era. I mean, for decades, we've just relied on static permissions and predictable, deterministic software. You click a button, it does a thing. Simple. But generative AI has triggered a massive paradigm shift. We aren't just securing code anymore. We are having to govern truly autonomous entities. So, to really grasp why everything is flipping upside down, we need to get our definition straight. If we look at Russell and Norvik's classic definition, an AI agent is an intelligent system designed to perceive its environment, reason, make decisions, and act autonomously. And you know, it's that last word, autonomously, that literally breaks our old static security models in half. Traditional software just sits there, waiting for a human to do something. But an AI agent, it uses a large language model as its own reasoning engine to decide its control flow. It plans, it acts, it delegates, entirely on its own. And because these agents have that autonomy, they actually forge relationships. Architecting and governing these trust relationships is absolutely crucial. It's basically your core responsibility if you want to securely transition to AI-native systems. I like to call this the dual threat framing. We have to architect and govern two entirely new categories of trust now. Human-to-AI trust, which is how we interact with and rely on agents, and AI-to-AI trust, which is how multiple autonomous agents collaborate and delegate tasks behind the scenes. So here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the new trust paradigm. Second, human-to-AI risks. Third, protocol vulnerabilities. And fourth, trust governance. Let's jump right into Section 1, the new trust paradigm. We are rapidly moving away from those rigid, clunky software menus and moving toward conversational, super helpful enterprise copilots. But this creates what we call the trust paradox. As agents become more conversational and, frankly, more helpful, we as humans naturally drop our guard. Our skepticism just melts away. And attackers, they absolutely love this. They exploit this through what OWASP calls Threat 15, human manipulation. They basically coerce agents into misleading users, tricking them into processing fraudulent invoices or clicking malicious links. It also brings up the classic confused deputy problem. Just imagine an agent with high enterprise privileges getting tricked via a prompt injection. It could be exfiltrating sensitive data in the background, all while benignly summarizing an email for you on your screen. Crazy, right?
All right, moving on to Section 2, Human-to-AI Trust Risks.
This brings us straight to Threat 10, Overwhelming the Human-in-the-Loop. Look, traditional IT already struggles with alert fatigue, but agents, they operate at machine speed. They can process thousands of actions in the literal blink of an eye. Attackers exploit this by autonomously escalating false positives, essentially flooding your human reviewers. It's an intentional, highly coordinated tactic designed to just completely paralyze a human oversight team and induce severe oversight fatigue. So how do attackers actually pull this off? They intentionally flood users with incredibly complex, high-pressure decision scenarios to induce cognitive overload. They might manipulate the Human Intervention Interface, the HII, to hide critical information, or they'll introduce these fake artificial time pressures. And what happens when a human reviewer is just completely overwhelmed? Well, they issue rushed, insecure approvals just to clear their screen. They end up bypassing security controls entirely simply because human capacity cannot keep up with multi-agent operations.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, AI-to-AI Protocol Vulnerabilities. Think about this. If humans can be overwhelmed that easily, what on earth happens inside multi-agent systems when human oversight is completely removed from the equation? Well, we run headfirst into the massive danger of implicit protocol trust. Emerging standards like agent-to-agent protocols or the Model Context Protocol often have this dangerous level of trust just baked right in. Attackers aggressively target these flows. OWASP calls this Threat 16, insecure inter-agent protocol abuse. They'll manipulate server responses or tool metadata to seamlessly hijack an agent's behavior. This lets them bypass safeguards and alter the agent's core objectives without ever tripping a traditional security alarm.
And then you have the dynamic of Threat 12, agent communication poisoning.
In a multi-agent system, attackers can inject false information directly into the inter-agent communication channels. Let's say you have a financial system. If just one agent is fed poison data and misinterprets a malicious anomaly as a legitimate transaction, it passes that validation right along to the next agent. That bad data corrupts the entire shared knowledge base, creating this terrifying cascading domino effect of systemic failure across the whole automated workflow.
The OWASP documentation highlights this concept, and honestly, it's chilling. They call them infectious backdoors. This is Threat 13, rogue agents. Lateral corruption is so dangerous here, because agents inherently treat a compromised peer's output as an implicitly trusted input. One single compromised agent can spread malicious logic like a digital wildfire to other agents in the system, operating completely under the radar, entirely outside your normal monitoring boundaries.
Okay, final stretch. Section 4, Architecting Trust Governance.
So the big question, how do we actually defend against all this? I want to connect the dots here, especially for the platform engineers and architects tuning in. You have to directly map these complex OWASP threat models to very specific architectural controls. If you're dealing with Threat 10, overwhelming the human, your go-to mitigation is adaptive trust mechanisms. To defend against Threat 16, protocol abuse, you absolutely must enforce strict mutual authentication. And to stop Threat 13, rogue agents, you have to mandate consensus verification. Let's break those down a bit. How do you solve that cognitive overload problem for your human team? Adaptive trust mechanisms. Instead of sending every single flag to a human, which we know doesn't work, these dynamic AI governance models adjust the intervention thresholds on the fly. They analyze the agent's confidence, the task's risk level, and the real-time operational context. So low-risk, high-confidence decisions, those get automated. But the high-risk anomalies, those get prioritized for human intervention. It protects your team's attention and sanity.
And what about the AI-to-AI trust side? To neutralize the threat of a single rogue agent spreading those infectious backdoors, your design authority must require consensus verification. Basically, for any workflow-critical or high-risk operation, multiple independent AI agents have to reach an agreement and approve the action before it actually executes. You have to eliminate that single point of failure in autonomous decision-making. It's a total must-have.
Now, if you are in an SAVP or senior VP level leadership role and you're driving these certifications across your organization, here is your definitive 3-step playbook to systematically manage these new trust relationships. Number 1, agent attestation. Number 2, policy as code. And number 3, trust scoring. Step 1 is agent attestation. You have to require strict cryptographic identity verification during the literal birth and registration of an agent. You must ensure that absolutely no unauthorized entities can sneak into your trust loops. And you pair this right alongside Step 2, policy as code. This creates dynamic, context-aware authorization frameworks that put strict boundaries on what humans can trigger and exactly what agents are allowed to delegate.
And finally, you wrap up the playbook with Step 3, trust scoring. You need to deploy behavioral profiling systems that evaluate the reliability of multi-agent transactions in real time. By continuously checking agents against their historical behavioral profiles, you can instantly flag any weird deviations. This lets you catch that lateral corruption early, way before it has a chance to cascade through your entire architecture.
I want to leave you with a rather provocative thought. Gartner forecasts that by 2028, which is just around the corner, Agentic AI will enable 15% of day-to-day enterprise work decisions to be made entirely autonomously. 15%. Think about the sheer volume of choices that represents across your whole company. So I have to ask you, who exactly is governing their trust in your architecture right now? The era of static permissions is over. The era of governing autonomous trust is officially here. I really hope this explainer empowered you to take a step back and rethink your own security posture. Thanks so much for joining me.